Hello, everyone. So this is Slave on the Block by Langston Hughes, and this is Renee Rissman speaking. I'll be presenting today. All right. So, all about Langston Hughes. He was a very famous American poet, also known for his social activism, his books, his plays, and his columns. An innovator of jazz poetry, a major leader in the Harlem Renaissance. He attended Columbia University but left due to racial prejudice, but he did actually make a lot of connections through Columbia University, and that is where his career really took off and started. He aimed to give a voice to the Black middle class and encouraged pride in the Black culture, again tying into his big leadership role in the Harlem Renaissance. Okay, so his published works. He has many, many famous poems. These are just 10 of them, to name a few. The Negro Speaks of Rivers, Dreams, The Weary Blues, Let America Be America Again, I Too Sing America, and just many, many more. These are a few of his books: The Dreamkeeper and Other Poems, Not Without Laughter, Where the Jazz Band Plays, The Panther and the Lash, and of course he has many more titles. Alright, so on to The Slave on the Block. Some central arguments. So first, being a spectator does not make you a part of the performance. Just because you're a fan in the crowd doesn't mean you're part of the performance. You're not on stage. You're not the one, making things happen. You're simply there watching, which is a big thing with the Caraways. They are these liberal-minded people that they believe they're doing so well, they're collecting art, but they're not actually the ones behind the movement, and so they feel so good about themselves because they're, above the white supremacy movement that's happening also, but again, they can't truly understand where the Black community is coming from because they don't have that same background, which leads to you can't understand other struggles simply by studying them. You can't. The Caraways or a lot of white people at the time, actually all white people at that time, could not put themselves in the shoes of Black people because they just couldn't. So kindness does not equal acceptance. In this story, the Caraways are very kind. They have, ample food. They give Luther and Maddie great places to sleep. And their kindness is there, but they still treat them as though they're lesser. They sleep in the basement, and there's a few examples where they just don't see them as people, or they don't respect them on the same level that they would another white person. Again, acting enlightened does not mean you're enlightened. Mrs. Caraway seems to think that she is a little bit better than some people because she's, trying to embrace this Black culture, and Mr. Caraway also, but that doesn't mean that they're actually understanding what's happening. Again, they can't put themselves in the shoes of Black people. So again, white people cannot understand the Black community fully because they, cannot really put themselves in that mindset. Okay, just a few key passages. I'm not going to read them all, but I thought these were pretty important. Again, this fangirling kind of fascination instead of actually seeing, Maddie or Luther as people. Even here, now here was the ebony boy, the essence in the flesh. It's this fixation instead of seeing them as a person, which is really strange. And then again in the next quote, stare at him, leisurely sleeping. He's sleeping, he's submissive. That's one thing that I've noticed is there is still that, he is, below me. He's working for me. And then she's doing a slave picture of him, which is so weird. It really took me by surprise. But again, it has that they're still not on the same level as white people. There is that disconnect there that they just cannot put them at that equality level yet at this time, which is unfortunate. And then again, when they invade the privacy, when Mr. Caraway goes and knocks on the door during the night to find Luther just so he could sing from one of their guests, it's an invasion of privacy. You never would have done that to another white person. You just don't do that. That's a social construct rule that people follow. And then lastly, again with the fixation, he looks like the jungle. It's they're not understanding them as people. They're understanding them as like this image. It's just very strange. So yeah. So then here are a few discussion questions that I'd like to consider. And then here are my citations, and we're good.